stop. Just stop what you're doing for 1 second. I need you to hear this, not listen, hear this. Because what I'm about to say to you, it is the single most important thing anyone has ever said to you. And most of you are going to nod your head, feel it for 30 seconds, and then go right back to doing nothing. And that's exactly the problem. You've been here before. You've felt this before. This fire in your chest, this pull in your gut, that little voice inside you that says, it's time, I need to change. But you didn't change. You felt the feeling and then you let it die. Today is different. Today has to be different. Not because I'm telling you, but because you already know that the clock is running out. You already know that something in your life needs to shift. You already know that if you don't move right now, this moment today, you're gonna keep waking up in the same bed, staring at the same ceiling, living the same half-life you've been tolerating for years. This is your moment. It is now or it is never. Let me tell you about the most dangerous sentence in the English language. It's not a curse word. It's not a threat. It's quiet. It sounds reasonable. It sounds responsible even. The sentence is, I'll start tomorrow. That's it. 4 words. That's the sentence that has destroyed more potential, buried more dreams, and stolen more lives than any disease, any failure, any setback ever could. I'll start tomorrow. You know what tomorrow is? Tomorrow is a fantasy. Tomorrow doesn't exist. It has never existed. You cannot live in tomorrow. You cannot breathe in tomorrow. You cannot feel tomorrow. You cannot change in tomorrow. There is only now. There has only ever been now. And every single time you say tomorrow, you are lying to yourself, to your future, to every version of yourself that's been waiting for you to finally show up. You know how this works. I don't need to explain it to you. You've lived it. Monday comes around. You say, this is the week. This is when I get serious. Wednesday hits. Something happens. Work gets stressful. You're tired. Someone cancels on you. It rains. And suddenly Monday's promise is gone, buried under excuses. Then the next Monday, then the one after that. Before you know it, it's 6 months later and you haven't moved an inch. Let's talk about the excuses. Not in a gentle way, in the only way that matters, honestly. You say you'll start when you have more time, but let me ask you something. When in your entire life have you ever had more time? When did that moment arrive? When did you wake up and think, today, finally, I have enough time to become who I want to be? It doesn't come, time doesn't open up. Life doesn't clear a path for you. The world doesn't hold its breath while you figure yourself out. Time is the one thing that is leaving, whether you move or not. You say you'll start when you have more money, more support, when things settle down, when the kids are older, when the job changes, when the relationship is better, when your health improves, when you feel ready. Ready. Let me tell you something about ready. Nobody who ever built something extraordinary felt ready when they started. Not one person. They were terrified. They were unprepared. They were uncertain, but they moved anyway. They moved because of discomfort, not in spite of it. You are waiting for a feeling that is never coming. Readiness is a myth. It's a story you tell yourself to justify staying safe, staying comfortable, staying small. And the worst part, the part that should scare you more than anything is that you've gotten comfortable with the excuses. They don't even hurt anymore. You say them automatically. You believe them now. You've told yourself the same stories so many times that they feel like facts. That's just who I am. I'm not built for that. I've always been this way. Stop. Just stop. Because those aren't truths. Those are prisons. And you built them brick by brick, excuse by excuse, delay by delay. And here's the cruelest thing about those walls you've built. They feel like protection, but they're suffocation. You think you're being safe. You think you're being smart, being cautious, being realistic, but all you're doing is dying slowly inside a cage you made yourself. That stops today. It has to stop today. I want you to do something right now, not later, right now. Close your eyes for 5 seconds. Think about where you were 5 years ago. The version of you that existed 5 years ago, what did that person want? What did they tell themselves they'd do? What dreams did they have? What promises did they make? Open your eyes. How many of those promises did you keep? Don't answer out loud. Don't answer to me. Be honest with yourself. In the only place that honesty actually matters inside your own head, because here's the reality. Nobody wants to say time doesn't stop because you're not ready. Life doesn't pause because you're overwhelmed. The years don't slow down because you're struggling. Time is ruthless. Time doesn't care about your feelings. Time doesn't care about your circumstances. Time doesn't care about how hard you had it or how tired you are. Time moves at exactly the same speed for everyone, and it moves in only one direction. Right now, as you're watching this, the clock is ticking. Right now, somewhere in the world, someone woke up before the sun with the same goals you have and started working on them. Right now, someone who said they never run a marathon is on mile 8. Right now, someone who said they never start a business is closing their first deal. Right now, someone who said they'd never get sober is celebrating 3 years clean. Not because they were special, not because they had advantages you don't, but because they made a decision, a real decision, and they didn't wait for the circumstances to be perfect. They moved in spite of everything. Meanwhile, and I say this with full weight, meanwhile, you are still here, watching, waiting, feeling the pull, but not moving, sensing the urgency, but not acting. And every single day that passes in that state costs you something you can never get back. I want to talk about something nobody discusses honestly, the compound effect of inaction. You hear all the time about the compound effect of positive habits, how small actions done consistently over time create extraordinary results. And that's absolutely true. But the opposite is also true. Small inactions done consistently over time create extraordinary damage. Every day you don't exercise, you don't just stay the same. You fall further behind your potential. Every day you don't pursue your purpose. You don't just stand still. You drift further from who you're supposed to be. Every day you feed your mind junk, surround yourself with mediocrity, and choose comfort over growth. You don't just stay neutral. You dig the hole deeper. The pain of inaction compounds, just like the reward of discipline does. Except inaction gives you the bill at the end when you're 60 years old and looking back at a life that happened to you instead of because of you. And here's what keeps me up at night, what should keep you up at night. Most people don't realize how far they've drifted until it's too late to go back. Most people don't realize the life they settled for until they're watching the life they could have had pass by, like a train they missed. Most people sleepwalk through their years, through their decades, through their entire existence. They are alive, but not living. They are breathing, but not burning. They are present, but not here. Not fully here, not in the way that makes a life feel real and full and worth it. Are you one of those people? Be honest. Are you sleepwalking? Because if you are, this is your alarm. This is the sound that wakes you up. Not gently, not softly, but the way an alarm should work, jarring, loud, impossible to ignore, pulling you out of the haze and back into the cold, clear, undeniable reality. Your life is happening right now. Not when you're ready, not when things get better. Right now. And right now, in this second, you are either moving toward the person you want to be or you are moving away from them. There is no standing still. There never was. I need to take you somewhere uncomfortable. I need to take you to the end. Not the end of this video, the end of your life. I know that sounds dramatic. I know that sounds dark. But every single person who has ever transformed their life, really transformed it, from the inside out did it, because at some point they stopped avoiding the thought of death and started using it not as a fear, as a fuel. One day you don't know when this is over. Every experience you're gonna have, every decision you're gonna make, every relationship you're gonna build, every goal you're gonna chase, it all happens in a finite window of time that is already closing. You don't know how long your window is. Nobody does. But you know it's shorter today than it was yesterday. And it'll be shorter tomorrow than it is right now. That's not morbid, that's life. That's the realest thing about being alive, that it ends. And the people who live most fully are the ones who hold that truth in their hands every single day, not as a weight to carry, but as a reminder to move. Now let me talk about regret, not the small kind. Not the kind where you look back and think, I should have ordered the pasta. I'm talking about the deep kind, the kind that lives in your chest like a stone, the kind that wakes you up at 3 a.m. and stares at you in the dark, the regret of a life half lived. Studies on people in the final stages of their lives consistently reveal the same thing over and over. People don't regret what they tried and failed at. They regret what they never tried. They regret the risk they didn't take, the person they didn't become, the version of themselves they kept putting off until the right time. They regret the years spent chasing comfort instead of meaning. They regret the decade of sleep-ins instead of early mornings. They regret the conversations they never had, the business they never started, the body they never built, the dream they never chased. And here's the brutal truth about that kind of regret. By the time it fully arrives, there's nothing left to do with it. There's no time to go back and correct it. There's no second window. There's no do-over. There's only the hollow ache of knowing what you could have been and accepting that you chose something less. I don't want that for you. But more importantly, you don't want that for you. Deep down, underneath the comfort and the habits and the excuses, there is a version of you that is screaming, a version that knows exactly who you're capable of being, a version that has been patient, more patient than it should have been, waiting for you to stop lying to yourself and rise. That version doesn't get louder with time. It gets quieter. The longer you ignore it, the more faint it becomes, until one day you can't hear it at all anymore. And that's the real death, not the physical one, the death of the drive, the death of the belief that you can be more. The day you stop arguing for your potential and start accepting your limitations, that is the day you truly lose. And staying average, let me talk about staying average for a second, because I think we've romanticized it. There's a narrative out there that says ordinary is okay, that settling is wisdom, that wanting more is selfish or greedy or delusional. That narrative is a lie told by people who gave up and needed a philosophy to feel okay about it. Average is not peaceful. Average is not contentment. Contentment comes from choosing something fully, with intention, with purpose. Average is what happens when you don't choose. When you drift, when you let the current take you wherever it goes and call it going with the flow. Living without intention is not freedom. It's just another cage, a cage with no walls, which makes it even harder to escape because you can't even see that you're in it. The average life looks like this. You wake up, you check your phone, you get through the day, you come home, you eat, you scroll, you sleep, and you do it again and again and again, year after year. And in the quiet moments on a Sunday afternoon or driving home or lying in bed in the dark, something in you whispers, is this it? Is this all there is? And instead of answering that question, instead of sitting with the discomfort of it, you reach for your phone or the TV or the food or the drink, anything to drown out the whisper. But it comes back. It always comes back because it's the truth. And the truth doesn't disappear just because you refuse to look at it. I'm gonna stop talking for a second. Not literally, but I want you to shift. I want this to become a conversation, not a lecture. I want to ask you a question, and I'm asking you to be completely, brutally, uncomfortably honest. Not with me, with yourself. Here it is. How many times have you told yourself you were going to change? How many times have you sat where you're sitting right now, maybe in front of a different screen, maybe watching a different video, maybe reading a different book, and felt this exact same feeling, this pull, this pressure, this knowing, and then nothing happened? How many Monday mornings have you declared a new beginning, and how many of those beginnings lasted less than a week? How many times have you written down a goal, maybe in a journal, maybe on a note app, maybe just in your head, and then watched it fade away like smoke? How many times have you been this close to the decision, to the change, to the shift, and then pulled back at the last second because it felt too hard, too uncertain, too big? I'm not asking this to hurt you. I'm asking because I need you to count, really count, because that number of times you've almost changed but didn't, that number is the real story of your life so far. And now I need you to do something right now. I mean it. Scroll down to the comments on this video and write your answer. Write it raw, write it real. Don't perform it, don't be inspirational, don't write something that sounds good. Write the truth. Write how many times you started over. Write what you're really running from. Write the dream you've never said out loud, because saying it out loud makes it real. And real things can fail, and failing is terrifying. Write it, because the moment you name it, the moment you take it from the dark inside your head and put it out into the world in the form of real words, it changes. It becomes something you can actually deal with, something you can actually move toward, something that isn't just a shadow anymore. Don't lie in the comments. Not to me, I'll never read all of them. Don't lie to yourself. The people in those comments are just like you. They're scared and tired and trying. Your honesty might be the thing someone else needs to see to take their own step. Write your answer now, okay? Now we go somewhere different, because this isn't just a video about pain. It's not just about confronting the past. That's step one, seeing clearly. But the seeing means nothing without the moving. So let's talk about the shift. The shift is not a moment. I want to be very clear about that. Pop culture has sold you the idea of the transformation moment. The movie scene where the music swells and the character decides to change and suddenly everything is different. The overnight epiphany, the single morning where everything clicks. That's not real. Or rather, that moment exists, but it's only the beginning. The decision is the door. What matters is whether you walk through it. The real shift happens in the ordinary moments. The moments nobody watches. The moments where it would be completely reasonable to stop and you don't. The moments where you're exhausted and it would be so easy to quit and you keep going. The moments where no one is cheering, no one is impressed, no one even knows what you're doing and you do it anyway. That is where transformation lives. In the alarm at 5 in the morning, when the room is dark and the bed is warm and every cell in your body is screaming at you to stay still and you get up anyway. In the gym on the day you least want to be there. When you feel flat and unmotivated and nothing is clicking and you stay anyway. You don't wait for the perfect session. You show up for the session you have. In the business you're building at night after a full day of work. When you're tired and frustrated, nothing is moving fast enough and you open the laptop anyway. In the relationship you're fighting for. The conversation you're terrified to have. The boundary you've avoided setting for years because you finally understand that avoiding it is costing you more than facing it. The shift is made of 1,000 ordinary decisions to keep going when stopping would be easy. But before any of that, before the discipline, before the habits, before the systems, there has to be the decision. Not a soft decision, not a I'll try, not a I think I'm going to, a hard decision, a locked in, no way back, burn the boats decision. A decision that says, I am done accepting less than I know I'm capable of. I am done betraying the person I see when I imagine my best self. I am done watching my life pass and doing nothing about it. That decision changes everything. Not because the external circumstances immediately change. They don't. Not because it gets easier. It doesn't. But because you change, your relationship with discomfort changes. Your relationship with failure changes. Your relationship with hard work changes. When you're truly decided, and I mean truly, not performatively, not for the camera, not for the people around you who you want to impress. When you're truly decided, failure stops being a stop sign and starts being a data point. Setbacks stop being evidence that you can't do it and start being necessary steps in the process of becoming someone who can. The decided person doesn't look for reasons to quit. They look for ways to continue. Let me talk about discipline for a second, because discipline gets misunderstood constantly. People think discipline is punishment, restriction, pain. They think it's the opposite of freedom. It's not. Discipline is the path to freedom. When you are undisciplined, when you do whatever you feel like, whenever you feel like it, you are a slave to your moods, a slave to your impulses, a slave to comfort. You think you're free because there are no external rules, but you're in the most restrictive cage of all, a life controlled entirely by your weakest moments. Discipline breaks that cage. Discipline says, I don't care how I feel right now. I know what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, and I'm going to do it regardless of whether today is a good day or a bad day, whether I'm motivated or flat, whether I feel ready or terrified. Discipline is the most liberating force a human being can develop, because it means you are no longer at the mercy of the moment. You are the master of the moment. And here's what most people don't understand about building discipline. You don't build it in the big moments. You build it in the tiny ones. You build it by keeping the promises you make to yourself when no one is watching and the stakes seem low, because your brain is always watching. Your character is always being built either toward strength or toward weakness. And every time you keep a small promise to yourself, you are building the foundation of the person who can be trusted to keep the big ones. Start there, not with the massive goal, not with the life overhaul. Start with this. Today, I keep one promise to myself, just one. And tomorrow, I keep it again. And the day after, watch what happens to you in 3 months. Watch what happens to you in a year. The person who keeps their promises, even the small ones, even the ones no one else knows about that person, becomes someone who is capable of extraordinary things. Because extraordinary things are just ordinary disciplines, repeated relentlessly over a very long time. Now I want to talk about the people around you, because transformation doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens in the context of your relationships, your environment, the conversations you're having every day. And here's the truth you may not be ready to hear. Some of the people closest to you are not helping you grow. Not because they're bad people, not because they don't love you, but because they're comfortable too. And someone who is comfortable does not want to be reminded that they could be doing more. So when you start to change, when you start to push, when you start to demand more from yourself, some people are going to pull on you subtly, sometimes directly. Don't take yourself so seriously. You don't need to work that hard. Why are you so obsessed? You think you're better than us now? These words are not wisdom. They are anchors. And you have to decide, are you going to let the anchors keep you at the bottom, or are you going to cut them loose and rise? That doesn't mean you abandon the people you love, but it means you protect your vision the way you protect your life, because it is your life. The vision is the life. Surround yourself as much as you possibly can with people who challenge you, people who are further along than you, people who operate at a level that makes you uncomfortable in the best way. People who don't accept excuses, not because they're cruel, but because they know you're capable of more. The environment you're in every day shapes the person you become. That's not optional. That's neuroscience. That's physics. You are in a constant exchange of energy with the world around you. Choose carefully what you expose yourself to. Your inputs become your outputs. Your environment becomes your identity. Choose accordingly. And one more thing before we get to the final push, I want to talk about purpose. Because purpose is the thing that separates the person who runs out of motivation in week 2 from the person who goes for years without ever needing to be told to try harder. Motivation is a feeling. Feelings are temporary. You cannot build a life on feelings. Purpose is a why. And a why that is big enough, real enough, painful enough, meaningful enough becomes the kind of fuel that doesn't run out. Not even on the hard days, especially on the hard days. Why do you want to change? Not the surface answer, not to lose weight or to make more money. Go deeper. Why does that matter? Who is affected? What does it mean for the life you're building? What does it mean for the people who depend on you? What does it mean for the version of yourself you know you're meant to become? Find that answer. Lock it in. Come back to it on the days when everything inside you says to stop. Because the days that test you are not obstacles to your journey. They are the journey. The person you become by facing the hard days, that person cannot be built any other way. We are almost at the end, but I don't want to end softly. I don't want to send you out with a gentle pat on the back and that you've got this. I want to send you out with fire. So hear me. Everything you want, every dream, every goal, every version of yourself that you can see when you close your eyes, it is still possible right now, today. It has not been taken from you. Life has not run out. You have not missed a window, but that window is not unlimited. And every second you spend in hesitation, in doubt, in delay, in the comfortable numbness of avoiding the thing you know you need to do, every single one of those seconds is a second you are choosing to give away freely without getting anything in return. You cannot buy those seconds back. Not with money, not with regret, not with tears at 2 a.m. when the weight of the years hits you all at once. Once they're gone, they're gone. And they are going right now, even as you listen to this, even as you feel the pull and the pressure and the urgency that's building in your chest. So what are you going to do with this moment? Not tomorrow, not Monday, not after the holidays, after the kids go back to school, after the next paycheck, after things settle down. What are you going to do right now? Because right now is the only place where change is possible. Right now is the only place where the decision has any power. Right now is the door. And you are either stepping through it or you are stepping back. There is no standing in the doorway. That's not a thing. You are moving in one direction or the other. Which direction are you choosing? I need you to understand, really understand, that the person you're trying to become is not going to appear one day out of nowhere. They are not going to show up when the conditions are finally perfect. They are not going to tap you on the shoulder and say, okay, now I'm ready to live your life. You have to build them day by day, decision by decision, hard morning by hard morning. And it won't be glamorous. Let me be very clear. Most of the journey is not glamorous. There are no cameras. There is no applause. There are just moments, thousands of them, where you do the hard thing anyway, where you show up anyway, where you push anyway, where you keep going, even though everything inside you is screaming to stop. And those moments, those invisible, unglamorous, unremarkable moments, those are the ones that build you. Those are the ones that matter. Not the finish lines, not the victories, the work that led to the finish line. The choices that nobody saw, but that you can feel in your bones, in your character, in the deep quiet, knowing that you showed up. That knowing that's what you're really after, not the result, the identity, the knowledge that you are the kind of person who does not fold, who does not quit, who does not let the hard things win. Build that identity one choice at a time. Start today, start now. And if you feel the fear good, let it be there. Don't fight it. Fear is just energy that hasn't been directed yet. Take it and point it at the thing you've been avoiding. Use it. Turn it into movement. The only difference between the life you're living and the life you want is the decision and the courage to act on it every single day until the acting becomes who you are. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You are not too far behind. But you are out of time to wait. The version of you that is standing at the top of the mountain you've been staring at from the bottom for years, that version is waiting, not impatiently, patiently, with everything they've built, everything they've earned, everything they've become. But they can only be born from the decisions you make starting right now, not in the next chapter of your life. In this chapter, in this moment, the clock doesn't stop. The years don't slow. And one day, I promise you, you will look back at this exact moment, at this exact point in your life, and you will either be grateful that you moved or you will ache because you didn't. Choose carefully, choose now, because this is not a dress rehearsal. This is not a practice run. This is it. This is your one life unfolding in real time, whether you're ready or not. It is now or it is never. Go.